Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today you find me back at Manchester Airport, and today we're completing our business trip around the UK in the Flight FX Vision Jet, and we're heading down to London Biggin Hill, where I'm going to drop off my passengers and go and finally get some well-deserved rest. I have done most of the pre-flight setup, so really all I have to do is go and get clearance, and then we can get started and get out of here. So let's get into the aircraft and let's close the door. And then we can get on with talking to ATC. So ground, Flyer 10 ready to copy IFR clearance.
Flyer 10 is cleared to Echo Golf Kilo Bravo, climb via the List 2 Romeo departure, with the LISTO transition, then as filed. Expect departure runway 23 right. Climb to flight level 050 via the departure. Expect higher clearances 3 minutes after departure. Radar director on 121.35. Squawk 4455.
Flyer 10 is cleared to Echo Golf Kilo Bravo, climb via the List 2 Romeo departure, with the LISTO transition, then as filed. Climb to flight level 050 via the departure. Expect higher clearances 3 minutes after departure. Radar director on 121.35. Squawk 4455.
Flyer 10 readback correct. QNH is 1023. Let us know when you're ready to taxi.
QNH is 1023.
Okay, we have our clearance. Now let's go through the checklists and get the engine started. So before engine start checklist, pre-flight inspection is complete. Door is latched, parking brake on, BAT1, BAT2 switches on, Gen 1, Gen 2 switches on, GPU connected, active fadeout channel is displayed. And then engine start, strobe lights can go on, CAS messages, nothing worrisome, thrust lever idle, brakes hold, engine knob to run. Let's get clearance first. Ground, Flyer 10, request engine start.
10 engine start approved.
Okay.
Engine start approved. Flyer 10.
Engine knob to run. Fuel pump advisory is on, I can hear it. No bad CAS messages. Engine button press. And we'll monitor the EIS as we start. All green. That is a good start. Okay, EIS checked, engine IPS not required, ECS control panel set, external GPU is disconnected, oxygen master switch is on, avionics initialization, all inits are complete, cap spin is removed and stowed, passengers briefed, seat belts are secured, bleed air switch goes to fresh air. Com and nav GPS are set for taxi. Clearance is obtained, but we need to get obviously permission to taxi. Altimeters set and checked. Transponder is set. Heading initial alt set. Flight controls free and correct. Trim goes 6 degrees up. Flaps to 50%. And indicating. Electric roll trim set, toga button pressed, CAS messages checked, and seats are in the normal upright position. Okay, so we are now ready to ask for a taxi. Ground, Flyer 10 is ready to taxi.
Flyer 10 taxi to runway 23 right.
Taxi to runway 23 right. Flyer 10.
Right, so taxi lights on. And parking brake release. Check the brakes. Brakes are good. We are ready to taxi. Come to the flight director on, pre-arm heading select mode and VS mode. 1,000 feet per minute initial climb out. And that is all we need to do. Okay, let's go. So we're going runway 23 right, so it is an immediate left turn here. Now the other taxiway you can see ahead of us is actually blocked. That is the one that I think you probably should be taking. But it is blocked, so I'm not going to. And we'll taxi along here. Didn't get any particular taxi instructions from ATC, which at this airport seems to be always the case. So I'm just going to follow the most convenient route, which is this one. Keep an eye out for other traffic. So this Jet 2, nothing on this side, nothing else on this side. Don't want to get too close to this aircraft, so just slow it down here. Get a bit of stuttering, but that's kind of to be expected, given that this is A, a fairly complex airport, and B, we've got quite a lot of traffic. What I am looking to avoid is the regular stutter that you sometimes get with too much traffic. I mean, I've got FSLTL set to what I think is a reasonable level, but that doesn't mean you can't have problems. And this is a pretty busy aircraft in real life. Got a good variety of aircraft here. I'm not sure all of these liveries are correct. I'm pretty sure Brussels Airlines probably doesn't fly from this airport. But again, it's going to do matching based on the airline code, I guess. And if you don't have a livery that matches that, it's just going to randomly pick for you. And that's okay. We're seeing a good variety, so that's all that really matters. Now, in the sim world, yeah, those are really bad micro stutters at the moment. Again, I'm assuming that's just because of scenery loading plus the traffic, of which there is an awful lot. As I was saying, in the sim world, this is supposed to be late afternoon. That's what I was going to be doing, but it's actually relatively early morning in real time, and I've left it in real time. So my headcanon is just that we were delayed and weren't able to leave yesterday and just had to stay overnight. One of my passengers, oh, he's going around. One of my passengers, and because there's somebody else on the runway. ATC in MSFS, it really does suck. ATC AI, sorry. Well, ATC also sucks, frankly. So yeah, one of my passengers actually went and got the train yesterday because they needed to be in London yesterday evening, but the other one is sticking with me. So I do still have to think about passenger comfort.
Flyer 10 contact tower on 118.62, have a good morning.
Tower on 118.62 flyer 10.
Now, pilot to ATC should be aware of this traffic. It doesn't attempt to control it directly, but it should know about it. So if I contact the tower and say I'm ready for departure, I should get not completely useless instructions. Let's find out. Tower, flyer 10, ready for departure.
Flyer 10 winds R220 at 6 knots cleared for takeoff, runway 23 right caution wake turbulence.
Clear for takeoff, runway 23 right flyer 10.
Okay, well, that was not what I was expecting to happen. I was expecting it to be aware of all of this traffic, but apparently it isn't, so never mind. We'll just pretend like we didn't hear any of that, and we'll wait for this traffic to go before entering the runway. So the Jet 2, well, there's two Jet 2s ahead of us. Let's take the opportunity to run through the checklist. Departure briefing is complete. Landing lights are on. Pro-heat switch goes on. Engine IPS switch not required. Wing stab IPS switch off. CAS messages, there are none. Trim at 6 degrees up. Flaps at 50%. No CAS messages. And multifunction windows are configured. All right. So the first Jet 2 is going. And this guy is moving. So we'll move up. Hopefully there's nobody immediately behind me, because they will just run through me, I suspect. There is, but hopefully not close enough. Otherwise, things could get a bit messy. Oh, they're getting quite close. This could be a problem. Right, I'm going to run up to the runway because I was given permission for takeoff. So, you know. Come on, let's go. Now, obviously in the real world you wouldn't enter the runway because of weight turbulence. Well, you wouldn't enter the runway because you wouldn't have been told to yet. But anyway, it's all a bit messy. I'm not even sure weight turbulence is simulated. Alright, we'll execute a normal takeoff. Worry about the checklist later. Now, since Iberia is following flight radar 24 with any luck, they've not been cleared to enter the runway yet, so we've got a minute or two. Okay, that guy has turned. So, brakes hold, thrust lever to take off. Check the EIS. It's good. Release the brakes. Airspeed's alive. 70 knots. 80 knots. 90 knots. Rotate. Positive rate. Gear up. .600 feet, autopilot comes in, auto throttle arm, FMS mode arm, flaps can come straight up. And unlike that traffic, wherever he's gone, we're going to make a left turn. Traffic behind should not be a factor. And here is our turn. I'll just get rid of this checklist.
Flyer 10 contact Manchester radar director on 121.35. Enjoy your morning.
Radar director on 121.35 flyer 10.
Right, climb checklist, thrust lever to MCT.
Radar director flyer 10.
Engine parameters will monitor, cabin pressure will monitor.
050.
Ice protection not required, transition is
Flyer
5,000 feet.
10, good morning. Radar contact.
Finally got some good visibility today, so we should see a good amount of stuff on our way. We're going to complete our climb to 5,000 feet in flight level change mode. So you can see the territory around Manchester Airport is quite hilly. It's quite impressive coming down low over all those hills. And then if we pop outside for a minute, you can see Manchester City itself over there. We're a little bit too far away for there to be any significant buildings to see. As you can see, the terrain LOD has already sent a bunch of those tiles to the lower detail level where they're also darker. This is an unfortunate thing that I'm hoping Microsoft will correct in MSFS 2024. Oops, sorry, that was the wrong camera for a minute. So we're making a very small turn at MCT 7 and heading for Listo. And Listo is the end of our departure, so we should get a climb instruction at that point. Now our course today will take us down past Stoke-on-Trent and Newcastle under Lyme, and then down past Stafford and over pretty much the centre of Birmingham into the Midlands, past Coventry where I'm originally from, so we'll have a look at that when we get there, and then down past Milton Keynes and Luton Airport, and then our final leg towards London, and we'll be approaching hopefully on vectors, and that should be quite straightforward. So we'll see what happens. Probably have to ask for the vectors though, just to make sure we get them. Right, there's the left turn at Listow, and ahead of us there you can see Stoke-on-Trent and Newcastle underlined. They're kind of next to each other.
Flyer 10, climb to flight level 090.
Climb to flight level 090, flyer 10.
Right, we'll go up to 090, but we'll quickly get cleared beyond to flight level 190, which is our cruise for today.
Flyer 10, climb to flight level 130, contact Manchester Centre on 118.77, have a good one.
Climb to flight level 130 centre on 118.77, take care, flyer 10.
So we're starting to come in over Stoke-on-Trent.
Climbing to flight level 130.
Flyer 10, good morning.
We use the drone camera, we can see a bit more of what's going on down there. Stoke and Newcastle under Lyme, as opposed to Newcastle upon Tyne, which is where we came from on our way to Manchester. Don't really know either of these towns in real life, so I don't know how well they are modelled, but you know, it all looks quite nice. And then up ahead of us we'll have Stafford as well, and we'll have a look at that when we get there. Passing 10,000 feet. There we go. Standard Barrow. Should have gone a bit earlier, but you know, no real harm. The standard is 1023 and the local is 1025, so not a big deal. And we'll have the landing lights off. So over on the left, we're pretty much a beam it now. We'd have Nottingham. Now it's a distance away, like far enough away we probably can't see any of it. But over in the hazy distance there, that is where Nottingham is. Some point I might fly out of Nottingham Airport. I don't have custom scenery for it, but there is some available, so I might get that and we'll go for a fly in that area. And then over on the right, there's really no major towns. We've got Wrexham. Probably, yeah, we're too far past it to really see anything. Obviously, Wrexham famous these days for its football club being owned by Ryan Reynolds.
170.
Climb to flight level 170, flyer 10.
And then, yeah, further on we get in. Well, Wrexham is already Wales, but we get into Wales. Is Wrexham Wales? I don't. Is it over the other side of the... Yes, it is. Over the other side of the border. But my ignorance about our own geography is a little bit shocking occasionally. So there's not a huge amount to see either side, but we will be passing over Birmingham and other Midlands towns fairly soon. So we are pretty much now in the Midlands. Stoke-on-Trent really marked the boundary of what I would call the Midlands. Stoke-on-Trent, the heart of the Potteries, so-called. And I would count the Potteries as being part of the Midlands. Anyway, I hope you're all well, as always. I'm quite glad, I think, to be getting to the end of the Vision Jet series. Not because I am in any way sick of the Vision Jet. I'm going to continue to fly it a lot, and I imagine, again, I'll fly it on the channel some more. but more because it's going to be good to do something else. Now, exactly what is coming next, I am not sure, and that is because we're dependent on a bunch of things that I have no real control over. So the Sting S4 series that I want to do, that's dependent on SU15 coming out for the new G3X avionics, and at the moment there's no clear answer. It's supposed to be sometime in April, but it is getting towards the end part of April now, and there's still no sign of it. And I'd rather they waited till it was good. But it's dependent on that. The laser cutter series is dependent on me working on the laser cutter, and I've not done any of that recently. And there's a lot of editing to be done with the footage that I've already got to get it releasable. So one thing I have done, which I might well then do some content on, is buy the PMDG 737-900. Now, I haven't flown airliners in the sim here for, well, forever, since I got into MSFS. The BAE 146 is available, but the Avrojet, which is what I like to fly, is not. And I've never really flown sort of big tin like the 737, so it's a bit of a change for me. But I figured why not? And you can get air manager panels for that aircraft, which supposedly work quite well. So we will see how that goes. And what I might do is a bit of content about actually getting it set up and getting the panels working and the automation with SPAD, and kind of show you how that's done. And then we'll take it out and go for a bit of a fly. Right. So we're past Stafford. Let's pop out. Sorry, my controller's got a bit of a hair trigger when it comes to the drone. So that will be Stafford down there beneath us, I think. And then coming up ahead, we've got Cannock. Big stutter while some scenery loaded. So that's Cannock down there, and Cannock is basically the Birmingham outskirts, and you can see Birmingham ahead now. It's just underneath the aircraft fuselage there, and we'll take a look as we go. Some good fixed cameras on this aircraft, by the way. If I go to the fixed camera mode, I like this one in particular for seeing what's under us. But you know, good cameras for cinematics if you're into making montage or whatever. Got a couple in the cabin. So that's that. So over on the right here, that is Wolverhampton, where I have been. And we've got Dudley over there as well. And then Birmingham pretty much ahead of us. So you might be able to see the airport. There's a runway just just above the aircraft fuselage now. That's Birmingham International Airport, which is a ways outside Birmingham. So this is basically the Birmingham region. We've got Walsall. We're going just past Walsall there, and any minute now we will be right into the actual suburbs of Birmingham. And if you look just off the right wing there, you start to see a cluster of buildings on the ground. That is, and we're getting stutters while they load more. That is Birmingham City Centre. Let's just put it underneath the aircraft there. That's Birmingham City Centre. Not sure which football ground that is. That could be Aston Villa, or it could be the other one. Birmingham City? Yeah, Birmingham City. Sorry, I'm not particularly well educated in football matters, despite having mentioned it twice on the video already. So there you go, that is Birmingham. Now we can't really get close enough to see more detail than that. If we could, we might see the Selfridges building, which is quite well known for being quite fetching looking. Might put up a picture there if I can find one I can use. But that's all down there. So again, maybe at some point we'll fly out of Birmingham International and see if we can fly over Birmingham City Centre. Speaking of Birmingham International, there it is. No custom scenery for that, so that is per the sim. Let's get back inside the aircraft. As usual, I haven't remembered to turn on the headphone simulation, so if I do that, things suddenly get a lot quieter. But having said that, they're going to get louder again because I'm about to pop the camera out once more. So on the left here we have Coventry, which, as I mentioned earlier, is where I am originally from. And we've got Coventry Airport over there, just under the left wing of the aircraft. Also, interestingly, you might see what looks like a runway down there. That is an old disused strip. It isn't an airport anymore. I'm not entirely certain. I think it might have been Honolulu, but it's now used as some kind of car testing facility. But there's Coventry. There's Baggington Airport, roughly centre screen now. And we're too far away to see anything, but I do have some custom scenery for the airport there. And at the airport in the real world, we have the Midlands Air Museum. Again, if I can do some pictures, I'll put them up. And I do have an add-on that adds the aircraft from the Midlands Air Museum, so maybe we'll go and check that out one day. In my opinion, that is one of the better aircraft museums in the country, particularly for World War II era aircraft. I mean, by no means the best, but certainly one of the best, and worth visiting if you are in the area and looking for that kind of entertainment. And then I can see the cluster of buildings that marks my part of town, and there's a big hospital there. I think I can just see some of those buildings now. So, reasonably well modelled in the sim, as as the digital twin means for pretty much everywhere. Not a lot of photogrammetry in the UK still, but
Flyer 10,
what there is not
London
terrible,
Control on
apart from London, which is really bad.
118.47. Enjoy your morning.
Centre on 118.47 Flyer 10.
Right, now this is the point at which I'm going to consider changing my approach, because I'm pretty sure
Centre Flyer
I'm going to get offered an approach that will take me
level
around the houses and
170.
add maybe another 25 minutes
Flyer
to this flight, and we
10,
just don't
good
need to do
morning.
that. But in order to get down to a reasonable altitude for the direct approach, we are going to need to get cleared early enough to get cleared down so that we can manage it. And to do that, I need to be probably talking to ATC around about somewhere between Daventry and Milton Keynes. Daventry coming up next. Oh, I see that I actually got replanned to flight level 170, so that is our cruise altitude. I did wonder why we hadn't had another climb instruction. Well, that just makes things a little bit easier. So, in theory, as it stands now, top of descent would be between Daventry and Luton. But if it gives me any approach other than vectors, then I would most likely end up staying at a higher altitude right the way down to Umber, which is the last waypoint on my flight plan, and that would mean we'd have to go around the houses, which I really don't want to do. A little bit more cloud ahead, so it's less perfect weather. It's not bad here in London though, so I'm not expecting it to be terrible, but it will be a bit more cloudy, so just have to deal with that. Now, I do not know the correct phraseology for asking for a vectors approach. So what I'm going to do, and let's just go onto this screen for a minute so you can see me doing it. I'm going to use the feature in Pilot to ATC that lets you kind of develop a phrase. That's the speech assistant. So it's a request, and I want an approach request. And if we're looking for the radar vectors for ILS to runway whatever, so that one would do, or that one would do. So basically request radar vectors for ILS to whichever runway. It's runway 21. And then I can just get the co-pilot to say that. So why don't we do exactly that? Load the phrase, and then we'll say it.
Flyer 10 inbound at flight level 170 requesting radar vectors for ILS to runway 21.
Flyer 10 maintain heading 120 for vectors to the ILS approach for runway 21 at Biggin Hill, descend and maintain 4,000 feet QNH is 1023.
Maintain 120 for vectors to the ILS approach for runway 21, descend and maintain 4,000 feet QNH is 1023.
Alright, so we've begun our descent.
Your altitude is 4,000 feet, your altitude is 4,000 feet, QNH is 1024 at Biggin Hill.
Okay, no idea why it thought of that, but okay. Right, so on our way down, let's have a look at the checklist for descent. So thrust lever as required, landing field elevation is 554 feet, quite high for the London area. It's on a bit of a hill, Biggin Hill. Unsurprisingly, it's Biggin Hill. Ice protection as required, not required, although we might maybe need some later. Altimeter transition is 5,000 feet. Again, seats and seat belts are secure. Descent checklist is complete. Right, so what I'll do is go into the flight plan, and then at Umber, we'll need to be at 4,000 feet. So I'll put that in as a constraint.
Flyer 10 turn right heading 125.
Heading 125 Flyer 10.
And then that will allow the VNAV profile to calculate what rate of descent I would require. And we'll just keep an eye on that. Okay. So approach is going to be vectors to ILS 21, and we'll load that. Not going to activate it yet. And that gives us a flight path that avoids going around the houses. Top of descent, just before Luton apparently, but I'm already descending, and of course it's recalculating as we go, so it was just easier to do that descent now since I'm cleared to do it. All right, we are just flying over, or have just flown over Milton Keynes. Let's have a look at Milton Keynes. Oops, sorry. My drone camera control is not what it should be. Right, there's Milton Keynes. If you're from the UK, you'll know that Milton... Oh, the golf course down there. I've got a friend who's obsessed with golf courses, so every time I see one, I have to go, golf course! Not in that particular tone of voice, you understand, but... So Milton Keynes is one of the new towns in the UK, and it was built after World War II, and it's famously a bit of a concrete jungle. Famously, in fact, there are some sculptures of concrete sculptures of cows in the town centre, which people have occasionally made fun of. Right, you can see Luton Airport down there underneath some cloud. Now, I have custom scenery for Luton Airport, which is quite nice, and we will definitely fly out of there at some point. I have flown out of there on the channel, but in prepared rather than in MSFS, but the scenery is of the same quality, so in fact possibly a little bit better. So we'll do some flying out there at some point. And again, we'll have a look, why not? So there is Luton Airport. The orange building you might be able to see is the EasyJet hangar. Can't really see much more detail than that. But yeah, it's a fun airport. I like it. Right, passing 10,000 feet for 4,000. Now remind myself what the
Flyer
QNH
10
is.
contact Biggin approach on 129.4. Enjoy.
1024.
Approach on 129.4 Flyer 10. Approach Flyer 10 descending to 4,000 feet.
Flyer 10, good morning.
Speaking of new towns, we've got Stevenage over there on the left. Another new town. Not sure if it's completely new. So some of the new towns were built around the existing small towns as an expansion, and some of them were completely new. Not sure which is which. Hemel Hempstead over on the right there. We're just about to go past St Albans as well. All place names that I'm familiar with. Living in London, the Thames link goes out to these places and ultimately out to Luton. And we are now kind of entering the London area more broadly, and if there weren't quite so much cloud, we'd be seeing quite a bit more of London ahead, but we'll be seeing it soon enough. Okay, so what I'm expecting is to stay on roughly this heading, probably switching between 120 and 125 until I enter the ILS cone for the airport, and then we'll be able to go over to ILS and approach mode and let the aircraft manage that part of the descent for us. So I'll tee up the approach checklist. Although I'm not quite ready to use it yet. Okay, those reservoirs off to the right there, they are quite well known. And they're in the Chingford area, so definitely inside the M25. In fact, I think that's the M25 we can see down there. And well-known sites for departures going north up the spine of the UK, going to the US. So if you've flown out of Heathrow going to the US, you probably would remember those reservoirs. Right, passing 4,500, so we're going to go to local Barrow, which is, well, they said 1024, but it's actually 1022.
10 descends to 1,800 feet. QNH is 1024 at Biggin Hill.
Descend to 1,800 feet, flyer 10.
Flyer 10, turn right heading 130.
Heading 130, flyer 10.
Alright, so it's time to slow down a bit. I'm going to go to manual control of the auto throttle and bring it down initially to 220 knots. Got a bit of cloud here and a bit of stuttering. Again, it's just London scenery is loading. If we look over this way, well, we could see central London if it wasn't completely stuttering. There we go. So there is central London. We might see some buildings we recognise fairly soon. I'm going to take off the headphone simulation because I want to hear the engine noise as we descend. Just about to see the Dartford Bridge ahead there. Right there, central London, you can see the Shard, Canary Wharf, we can see the Dome, you can see London City airports. So it's going to get maybe a little bit stuttery from here, given how much scenery we've got.
Flyer 10, you are 18 nautical miles north of Biggin Hill Airport. Fly heading 175 cleared for ILS to runway 21, contact tower on 134.8. Good morning.
Fly heading 175 cleared for ILS approach to runway 21 tower on 134.8, flyer 10.
Okay, let's run through the approach briefing. Approach briefing is complete. All seats in normal upright position. Ice protection not required. Lights as required. Flaps will go to 50%. Airspeed to 140 knots. Then before landing checklist is next, which appears to be already completed. Oh well, never mind. Alright, let's go to the localizer. And we'll arm approach mode. Right, localizer is captured. Localizer is captured. Runway is ahead. Now we've got a tailwind, which means that this is the wrong direction, and I can see some traffic actually coming off the runway in the other direction, which is not ideal. But that is what we've been given. Suppose I could try and change it, but I don't know the phraseology I'd use for that, and I'm already stabilised on this approach, so 10 knot tailwind, not ideal, but I'm gonna live with it. Let's go to FMS speed management. Slow to 125 knots. Watch for the glide slope coming down. Glide slope coming down. So let's go. 100% flaps. Landing gear. We'll have it down. Three greens. Flaps full. Cabin pressure diff 0. Windshield IPS switch off. And then autopilot will go off at the appropriate point, which is not right now. Glide slope is captured. So because of the tailwind, I'm going to add 10 knots to VREF. So we'll look for VREF at 100. Tower, flyer 10, established on final.
Flyer 10 winds a light and variable cleared to land runway 21.
Clear to land runway 21 flyer 10.
Alright, clear to land. Autopilot off. Can't be telling me I'm a little bit too high. Again, don't want to dive bomb the runway. Let's leave us to idle. Guess we're going to go a little bit long. Bit stuttery as well. Alright, well bang on the centre line. I can't really complain about that. But I'm going to have to go all the way down the end for the turning.
Flyer 10 exit runway when able.
Have the flaps up. I'm going to be parking at the jet parking by Bombardier building anyway, so this is the right exit for me. Well, some micro stutters, heavy scenery, both the airport and London nearby, and traffic, etc. So. Right, flight director off. And we'll turn off the runway. Tower, fly 10 is clear of the active.
10 welcome to Biggin Hill. There is no ground control at this airport. Let us
Not
know
sure
if
that's
you
true in
need
the real
taxi
world.
instructions.
But that is what Pilot to ATC is going to do for me. Very stuttery indeed. There is a marshaller here, but I am going to ignore them. Nor am I going to try and use GSX. Instead, I'm just going to park up here, next to this guy. All right. Parking brake set. How was that? Not terrible. Probably closer than I should get in the real world. But honestly, do you know what it'll do? They're going to tow it away anyway, so let's not worry overly about that. All right, welcome to London Biggin Hill, everybody, and to Signature Flight Support, who will be my FBO today. Let's do the shutdown thing. So, after landing checklist, flaps are up, wing stab IPS off, engine IPS switch off, probe heat switch goes off, external lights as required, brakes check, they are good. Shutdown, thrust lever to idle, engine IPS switch off, bleed switch to fresh air, oxygen master switch goes off, lights, we'll have the strobe lights off, engine knob off, engine button press for shutdown. Wait for the N2 to go below 24%. There you go. Caps pin replace, Gen 1 and Gen 2 switches off. And then I'm going to connect the ground power. I'll leave the back 1 and 2 switches on for now. Parking brake is set. Egress door pin is replaced. No, it isn't because we haven't left yet. And the airplane is basically secure. Let's open the door so the passengers can disembark. Okay, let's just pop out. Take a look at Biggin Hill. So this is Pilot Plus Biggin Hill, which I got via Orbex. It's very nice, but as you can see, it's just a little bit hard on my CPU, so that's why things are a little bit stuttery. That plus you know, London and everything nearby. If we go up a bit, you can then see what I'm talking about, because of course London is just over there. You can also hear an aircraft, although I'm not seeing it. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything moving on the ground. So there's more Bombardier buildings there. There's Bombardier hangar. There's a helicopter flight school over there and a flight school and a few others. Excuse me, hay fever. And they've also modelled the industrial estate here and some other buildings over there. And then the actual terminal building is over there. You don't get any scheduled passenger traffic at this airport. It is used almost exclusively by private jets and a little bit of GA. This is where billionaires park their jets if they don't want to fly into London City, pay the extortionate landing fees, and you can't keep an aircraft there anyway. There's no hangar. But also you can only go into London City with 2 pilots, whereas I believe you can fly into this one single pilot operation, which will be attractive to some people. So yeah, Pilot Plus Biggin Hill is pretty good. I'm guessing the pollen count must be up today. All right, that's your lot, folks. We are done with the Vision Jet. I'm not going to unload with GSX or anything like that. We'll just assume that my passengers have already disembarked and walked over to the Signature building, and then they'll get picked up by a car from the firm later. And then this aircraft is going to get repositioned and put into storage, ready for the next flight, which is not going to be anytime soon on this channel. So, if you enjoyed the video, it would help if you click the like button. If you disliked it, it would help me if you click the dislike button. If you've got any questions or comments, then do leave them in the comments below. And I try and answer all questions and comments as quickly as I can. If you would like to subscribe to the channel, I would very much welcome that. But please do click the little bell icon so that you know when I publish content, because the schedule can be erratic. At the moment I'm doing better with pretty regular videos, but I'm not still able to keep up a weekly schedule, as I mentioned previously in a previous video. It's difficult because I often have to wait for the weather before I can fly, so I've been waiting days for the weather to be like this to make this flight really practical, and as a result I couldn't then put it out a week after the last one. So we just have to do what we can when we can. So the little bell icon will get you an email notification when I publish a video, and hopefully that will be useful, so please do click that. Otherwise, as usual, I will say thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you back on the channel very soon.